My SV650 is a lovely, lovely motorcycle. But there are two things that I have always hated about this bike since I bought it, and I bought it used. The first of these are these red frame sliders with the word SV650 printed on them. I've never been a fan of accessories or decals on a vehicle that restate the vehicle's name. The manufacturer usually puts too many logos and whatnot on a motorcycle to begin with. I see no need to continue that trend. The second thing that drives me crazy about this particular SV that I own are these awful bar-end mirrors. I have no idea who makes them. They have no name on them. They're probably from Alibaba. I don't know. But they have to go. And I love bar-end mirrors. I just don't love these particular ones. So on this rainy, drizzly Memorial Day weekend, I've decided to get out here and take care of these two problems that I have with this motorcycle. Starting with the frame sliders. The frame sliders came off easily enough. I simply needed to remove the superficial cover, revealing the bolt that went through the slider, through the engine mount, and into the block. Next, I removed the bolt that holds the slider to the frame. For obvious reasons, I did this one at a time. Removing these one at a time prevents the engine from shifting relative to the frame, which would make this very simple task very difficult. With one of the offending frame sliders removed, I unboxed my nice, nondescript Woodford units and proceeded to install those on the SV. This was a very simple and enjoyable process. One thing that I did discover is that one of the Woodford frame slider mounts is longer than the other one and must be placed on the left side of the motorcycle. And that's what I'm showing now. One important detail that I'll point out is that Woodford has machined a flat spot or keyed spot into the slider mount. That allows for the mount to not interfere with the frame or rub against it. With the bolt seated inside of the mount, all that was left to do was click it to the correct torque setting with my torque wrench. Using a torque wrench has to be one of the most satisfying things about working on a motorcycle. Woodford sells these pucks separately from the slider mounts. I really like this since you can replace the sliders should you drop your SV650, and I hope that never happens to anybody watching this video. As I'm doing here, I like to use a little bit of Loctite when securing a fastener that does not have a provision to keep it from backing out, such as a lock nut or a lock washer. And with the first mount puck combo completed, I moved on to the opposite side of the motorcycle and repeated the process. On this side, there's a spacer between the block and the frame, and it had dropped down a bit when the old slider was removed. To install the new mount, I simply needed to hold that spacer up with my hand to realign it between the engine and the engine mount. With the frame sliders installed, it was time to move on to those awful mirrors. I replaced the mystery mirrors with these lovely Shield 360 mirrors from Oxford, which, as the name implies, is based out of the UK. These mirrors include two spacers to allow you to fit a range of handlebars. And to fit the SV650, I needed to first remove the larger spacer from the mount. With the larger spacer removed, it was a simple job to insert the mount inside of the handlebars and tighten the whole thing up. With the mirror snugly installed, it was time for the initial adjustment of that mirror. And then a quick smaller adjustment and recheck of the mirror's position on the SV650. And once again on the right side of the motorcycle. The only change this time was I had to pull the old bushing out of the handlebar with a handheld vice grip. And that's it. Job done. Time to admire my work. My two most hated things about this particular SV have now been remedied. And there's nothing left to do but simply wait around and go for a ride in better weather. Ride safe, y'all. Ciao.